In this video, I'm going to talk about the Rockets win over the Memphis Grizzlies on the road in an ugly win. And also, I'm going to touch on how Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun reacted to being benched in the previous game. How did they respond? Let's find out right now. Tap in. Enjoy. The Rockets Chop Shop is your one-stop shop for all your basketball needs, for highlights, analysis, podcasts. We do it all here at the Rockets Chop Shop. Make sure you hit the like button on the videos that you watch if you enjoy them. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications from all the great drops that we have on the channel. Also, you can visit the Chop Shop merch store and get you some of the swaggiest gear in the Houston Rockets kingdom. And if you want, you can always support the channel directly through donations. And if you want, you can support us through our partnerships with our sponsors. The Rockets Chop Shop is made by fans, for fans, and we're going to keep rocking and keep dropping that heat.
This is something I know.
So the Rockets get their second win on the road against the Memphis Grizzlies, 103-96. Another game where their defense saved them, right? The offense is still going through a lot right now. Our offense right now is anemic, to say the least. But one thing you can count on about the Houston Rockets is that defense is definitely going to turn up, and turn up it did. They were down as much as 17 points in the first half. Going into the halftime break, they cut it down to about 10 points. And then from there on, it was just a defensive clinic and a couple key plays by Dillon Brooks and Fred and even Jalen to kind of help us get back offensively. The offense is going to be an issue. And I think a lot of it is based on the roster construction. We do not have that much shooting right now on the roster, even with the starters, especially when, Jabari right now struggling on his shot. So that's the shooting that's gone. Dillon Brooks, as well as he played yesterday, the shooting is down back to earth right now. So that's a problem. Fred VanVleet has been inefficient. That's a problem, especially when Alperen Sengun, who is our best player, is getting cooked by Bismack Biyombo, which we have found that Bismack is now Alp's a stopper, right? Every player has that one matchup that is just impossible for them. And it doesn't make sense. I remember Shaq on a podcast was talking about his toughest matchup was a guy named Big Country Brian Reeves. I think he used to play for the Vancouver Grizzlies. Shout out to James Piercy for giving me that knowledge. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Guys have matchups that just give them fits. I think Bismack is just a throwback center. He's strong as hell. His wingspan is crazy, and he doesn't budge. Like, Alp can't move him, and that's a strength thing. And yeah, but regardless of that, I think that the way that Coach Udoka is like working with our players is really, really just impressive. Being able to push these buttons on these guys. You bench Alperen Sengun, you bench Jalen Green, and you come out starting the game with plays intentionally going to Alperen Sengun against Bismack Biyombo. Like, they start off the game like, you got to exercise your demons. And to me, the team is taking on the characteristic of the coach. Don't be a punk. And that's what Ime Udoka's message is. Even in the interaction with LeBron James, when he called them what he called them, or called the Lakers what he called them, the whole message to his team is that I don't give a damn if that's LeBron, Michael Jordan, we don't back down to anybody. And he's instilling that in our players. If they have weaknesses and it's hurting the team, in real time, he will put them down and go sit down, right? Go sit down and watch somebody else do it better. And then the next game, he always gives them the opportunity to be able to make up for it. But I love the way he's like pushing these buttons in our players, taking them out when they're tripping, putting them back in to really work on that. But Biyombo still was a tough matchup for Alp today, but I like the aggression. He wasn't like giving up or acting scared. He actually just played his game. It wasn't efficient today, but it was pretty good. And same thing for Jalen. Jalen had a bad game in the first game. He didn't have a great game this game, but he played much, much better. The defensive side of the ball for him was much improved, using his body to really defend, staying on his assignment. His off-ball defense was excellent. And that's all you could ask for with these guys. This is where I'm at, like with Jalen. And you guys already know my stance on Jalen Green. So I really have no expectations for him. Not saying that in a disrespectful manner or to act like I don't think he's going to be a good player. I'm saying that just because at this point, I don't think that he is ready for that mantle that we have placed on him. And I personally placed a mantle on him thinking he was going to have a third-year leap. I'm seeing that leap is not coming in this season, but what he can do is grow incrementally, and that's what I'm seeing from a game-to-game basis. It doesn't always show up in the box score, and it's not always linear, right? He may have still bad games, right? Bad game here, but you want to see progression in certain aspects of his game over time. Yes, I know that is a low bar, but that's where we are right now. I still think there's a great player there, and I think Coach Udoka sees that, and I think Jalen is being reconstructed as we speak. He is being retransformed. His mind is being developed, redeveloped as we speak in real time. Because what I saw from him against the Memphis Grizzlies was a player that wasn't out there just wasting possession, right? He knew when it was time for him to go. When the team gave him the ball to go, you can see to close out the half, to close out certain quarters, Fred would make sure Jalen has the ball in his hand because they know his skill set is what we need in those type of moments. A guy that could get a paint touch, that could shoot off the dribble. He just needs to get better over time in the long run. But lower your expectations for Jalen. If he has a bad game, I see it just like Jabari having a bad game. I'm not going to trip because I don't expect anything from him. That's not coping to me. That's just adapting to reality. If he has a good game, good for him. I want to see him stack good games over and over and over again before I'll start being swayed to make an evaluation of whether he's turned the corner or not. At this point, you just want to see what you're seeing from Jabari, which is effort and being connected with the team on the defensive side, regardless of what they're making or missing shots. I don't judge guys on makes and misses. I judge you on everything else because, like Coach Udoka alluded to, if you're missing shots and it impacts the rest of your game, then you're not focused. You don't need to be on the court because you're going to hurt the team. Your shot should be the last thing to dictate how you play. And for young players, especially offensively gifted players, that is really what they rely on most of the time is if I'm hitting a shot, then I can play defense. Y'all seen it. They hit a couple threes, whether, this is across the league. A guy hits a couple threes, they start slapping the floor ready to D up. Like, bro, no, why don't you D up and just let the shots come? And that does take us to one Dillon Brooks, right? Dillon Brooks is a player, and I really admire Dillon. It's really something that I've grown to see over him in these 22 games that he's been on the Rockets. And one thing that impresses me about him is kind of the opposite of what I'm saying about the young guys with Jalen and Şengün, is the fact that he is able to be so intense and committed regardless of whether he's hitting his shots or not, right? That focus to play defense at that level is special. Like, that's special, bro. Like, there's not guys in the league that you just find that can do that because you have a lot of defensive specialists in the NBA. And then you have guys that are like just bucket getters. Now, Dillon Brooks can go get a bucket. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. But to be that level of a defender and still be somebody that if the team needs you to go take 20 shots and hit a dagger to seal the game and still be one of the best defenders on the court is something special. And I think the way Coach Udoka is really using him, and he talked about this, is that they're letting him play out his game on both ends of the court. The way Memphis kind of played him is they wanted to lean into his defense and not really let him explore his offensive game as much. And I wouldn't blame him. When you have Ja Morant out there and you have Desmond Bane, you don't need Dillon to be what he is right now. But for a team like the Houston Rockets with young players that are figuring it out in real time, we need our vets, Dillon and both Fred, to be like the training wheels for our team. They need to be the guys that are going to be the training wheels. And I've used the analogy of riding a bike because I think it's appropriate for the Rockets. If you think about like a child learning to ride a bike, you first want to give them those training wheels to be able to stabilize them as they learn the mechanics of pedaling, of balancing, of turning, all those things. So right now, the Rockets, young players, the Jalens, the Şengüns, the Jabaris, Taris of the world are learning the mechanics of pedaling, which I would equate to the NBA as winning. They're learning how to become winners, right? And what Fred, Dillon, Jeff Green, and all these vets that we brought in, what they're adding to us are those training wheels, because sometimes if those wheels weren't there, meaning they're not learning the mechanics incorrectly, they stop pedaling mid-ride, they would fall off the bike. But Coach Udoka, as that fatherly figure, that parent in this analogy, is looking at our young guys as he notices that this would be a situation where they would fall off the bike. He puts the vets in there to kind of prop them up and then takes them off and says, you know what, watch how they do it. Watch how the bike is supposed to be rode. And then in the next time they come out to test that out, to play a game, he lets them get back on it. And as you do that, the lessons that these young guys are learning from watching and seeing vets do it better than them, they retain that in their memory banks, right? They're able to see, okay, I'm not going to make the mistake I made last time. Let me not take my pedal off here. Let me keep riding. If there's a curve, let me turn the bar a little bit. Let me not just keep going straight. If there's an incline or a hill coming up and it's going to be hard, I can't just give up. I got to just push in a little longer because I've seen Big Bro do it. That's how the incremental growth learns. So you're seeing multiple things happening at the same time. And I think Dillon Brooks, on the team is really, really providing both sides for us, him and Fred, offensively and defensively. And to me, this is the perfect type of signings you want. The reasons I am perfectly just ecstatic about them over like James Harden, particularly Fred VanVleet, is because James Harden would provide a crutch for us. But in this analogy, James wouldn't be the training wheels. He would be the bike, right? He would be the bike, and our guys would just watch him. And as great as James is, and you can quote him for saying this, that he's a system, he is a system. And everybody around him would have to adapt to that system. And I just don't feel like, for me, restarting a culture for the Rockets is going to be successful if you're basing it on a particular type of system that's linked specifically to a player, rather than a system that's linked to concepts like defense, culture, work ethic, all those things that Fred, Dillon, and Coach Udoka are doing. So I'm totally with Ime Udoka when he says he didn't see the fit, because I don't either. But Dillon, the type of game he had, picking his shots, hitting big shots, and you also have to notice the games where he only takes like 5 or 6 shots, where he's only, he's not out there taking 20 shots. That's what I love about our guys. They fill the voids that are needed. If a young guy's tripping, I got this, coach. If they're on, they are more than willing to let them cook. And to me, that's the best way to develop young talent. It's not always going to be pretty. Going through the box score of the game, you can see Dillon Brooks, 40 minutes, took 20 shots. I made a tweet saying that after he was quoted to say he's going to show the Memphis Grizzlies what they're missing out on, that I expect nothing but less than 15 shots. And he definitely lived up to that with the 20 shots. The 20 shots were definitely needed. 50% from the field, 33 from 3, which is okay. 3 or 4 from the line, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, +3, a starting 5 high +3 in a game where we were down 17. So they had to claw back into the game. I think Dillon played a great two-way game on the defensive end, being able to guard Desmond Bane, had him all over the place. As much as Bane was cooking, at the end of the day, he took 25 shots, shot 44% from the field and 33% from 3. So Dillon definitely won that matchup. Even though Bane dropped 28, it was an inefficient 28. Also, Dillon was able to guard Jaren Jackson Jr., who, along with the rest of the team, paused, but the guys took turn with JJJ. It was like they was just passing him off, bro. But he, even though he was hitting a lot of shots, you look at his box score, 8 of 23, like inefficient. 34%, went 0 for 7 from 3. He just hit a lot of annoying little floaters in the lane. Other than that, Jabari, Dillon, Şengün, Uncle Jeff were just doing it on him, bro. They was taking turns with him, just having him just chucking out there. So 22 points for Jaren Jackson, but inefficient 22, which is much better. They guarded him much better than they did in the first game where he dropped 40. So shout out to DB, man. Hell of a game. Jabari Smith Jr., great game from him. 1 for 9 from the field. Not mad at that. There were good shots. He hit a big 3 for us. Only 1 for 4 from the 3, 2 of 2 from the line. 12 rebounds. Jabari is, like I told y'all in 2 videos ago, the rebounding is a part of defense, and this is also in line with his perimeter defense. Right now, the only thing Jabari's missing, explosiveness at the rim and a little more rocks in his pockets, right? He needs to get bigger. The post-ups is still an issue. When guys get into his body, it's still an issue. Just needs to get stronger. That's going to come over time. He's a baby, right? He's a baby. He was a -2, but that's pretty good for a game where you were down 17 points. So 5 points for him. Loved his defense on Triple J in spots, especially late in the game. They try to really get Triple J on Jabari, and he was able to hold his own, force them to the help where Şengün came in and cleaned up. Şengün, 31 minutes in this game, which I think was really, really impactful on his defense late. Alperen Şengün played some of the best perimeter defense I've seen on Triple J as far as in his career, just period. Just that was the way his feet were moving. There was a play where he cut Triple J on the counter with his body, no hands, nothing, just straight feet movement. I think a lot of it is linked to the fact that he only played 31 minutes. He was benched early for a stretch where he looked like he was about to trip, but Udoka, doing his Jedi mind tricks, put him and Jalen back in the game to close it out, right? I know at the end they started doing the switch 5 stuff, which, I mean, that's just smart basketball. But in the key moments of the game, him and Jalen were in the game after being benched in the previous game. Jedi stuff, man. The coach, we have an amazing coach. Let me just throw that out there. But 4 of 12 from the field. He was damn near probably going to see Bismack Biyombo in his nightmares. But, didn't take any threes in this game. Had 7 free throws, 7 for 7 for the line, clutch. 7 rebounds, only 1 assist, 15 points. Just a pedestrian game for him offensively. I think this might have been, in my opinion, one of his best defensive games that he's played. He had a couple bad fouls. Other than that, he contested well, able to have, some big blocks, right? Dude had 3 blocks, and a lot of them were recovery blocks, which I think is an underrated part of his game, which is the ability to recover after guys turn the corner on him. Which to me going forward is going to be important. The whole Bismack Biyombo matchup thing, I think, once again, I said it last video, Bismack is strong, old school, big African dude, and Şengün is a 21-year-old kid, right? That's a grown man. There's not a lot of centers in the NBA left of that ilk where they're just bruisers. Everybody wants to be finesse at the big position nowadays. The Wembys of the world, the ADs, the Şengüns of the world, even though Şengün can bruise a little bit. There's not a lot of Jonas Valanciunas out there anymore, right? There's not a lot of Dwayne Dedmans. There's not a lot of Bismack Biyombos. It's a dying breed. And low key, I would trade some second round picks for Bismack Biyombo because I think he'd be a great backup 5 for us. He'd be able to give Şengün a look at practice to help him get better against that archetype of bruisers, which I think he struggled with his whole career. And he's done better this year, but that's still a thing. I think that's the type of backup center we need, and his wingspan is nuts. It's like 7'4". Pedestrian offensive game for Şengün, good defensive game, and I think for Coach Udoka, that's what he's happy about because the offense is going to come and go. You guys know we've seen James Harden have 1 for 15 games from 3 where he would just be ugly offensively, but he keeps shooting. What you want to see, and that happens with offensive players. If my offensive guys can play defense, then you've tapped into something else. Jalen Green, 28 minutes, and he was kept out of the game for key stretches, but I actually enjoyed his game as well. The off-ball defense to me was impressive, was not a liability on that end for us. 4 of 12 from the field, only 33%, 3 of 7 from 342. Hit some big threes, got going a little bit. Let's close out the game. Only 14 points. Jalen is being reconstructed, like I said. You guys got to give him time. I'm not saying he's going to be a star, right? I've moved off from that. I just want to see Jalen become a winner and be a player that contributes to winning by his game. And if the star comes out of that, then, hey, we in the bonus. But right now, I think Jalen Green is being reconstructed. What comes out on the other end, I think at baseline is going to be a starting level 2 guard. Now, somebody made a good point about if a 2 guard isn't a star, can't you just put somebody else there in that position that's like a better defender or something? I think that I agreed at first, like, yeah, if he's not like scoring at a high clip, is that something that I should be worried about? But I don't want to boil down archetypes to just doing one thing. My thing for Jalen Green with his skill set is either he's going to be a playmaker or a good defender. I still think he can be a good defender. The playmaking just needs to be serviceable. And if he can just focus on one skill that he is elite at, he'd be winning, right? If he can just focus on that, my preference would be his driving, but that requires him to get bigger. The first step is crazy. If he can become a elite driver and finisher at the rim, then the shooting can be bad because you can live off of that. And even with a serviceable passing, you're able to drive and kick. And in our offense, that is what we're missing right now. We don't have a drive and kick game. And in Ime Udoka's offense, it doesn't look right until that is there. They've been trying to use smoke and mirrors in the pick and roll to generate paint touches with Alperen Şengün in the short roll, but teams are starting to pack the paint on that. and that's why it's not been as effective. We are still lacking that. Now, obviously, we have Amen Thompson in the wings waiting to be that driving kick person. That's why you want to see him get more opportunities to play. Hopefully he feels better. But Jalen is definitely somebody that I can see doing that. Plus, when his shooting is on, it's a different team that we have right now. So I'm not, if you think Jalen is trash or whatever, I can't be mad at that. That's what you think. And sometimes, the numbers do say that he's playing like trash. But I would ask more patience. Remember, I told you guys he's going to take the longest. I don't think he's going to be a superstar. Like, I'm just I'm off of that, been off of that. But I still think that he's a player that we're going to be relying on in the future when the vets are gone. So let's just patience. Worst case scenario, you pay him a cheap contract and he turns out to be good. Fred VanVleet, loved his game. Only took 12 shots, 41%, 50 from three, 80% from the line, 16 points, 4 steals. Fred was the pest on defense, 8 assists, no turnovers. A great Fred VanVleet game. He was controlling the game. Dude controls the game, just like with the Dillon analogy. He is our training wheels on that end of the court, and I just love like what him and Dillon bring to the team. He was just controlling the game, man. Just makes us tough. They bring toughness to our team. Aaron Holiday, like I said, 20% from the field. He's reverting back to what he is. Guys like him, like when Gary Bird first came to the team and had that stretch where he dropped. He was just shooting like 60% from three. I think Aaron Holiday had his Gary Bird moment. One thing different about Aaron is that he's going to play some defense. And that LeBron chase down block he had, I don't even know what the dude name on. Let me look down. Brother's name is Gilliard. That chase down block he had on Gilliard, it was like a short man's version of LeBron and Iggy. So that was really cool to see for him to get up there and get that block. But I think his full court defense gives us a change of pace. I love like what he brings on that end of the court. He hit a big 3 that we needed, but I don't expect much from him. I don't think he's a guy that you're going to rely on long term as far as like a key member of your 8-man roster in the playoff series, for example. So, but as of right now, I do love what he brings. Jock Landale had a survivable game. He had 0 for 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1 rebound, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1 foul, and it was a +4. I think we survived his minutes. He actually played decently. Wasn't mad at him. If he can just do that in spurts, 8 minutes, give us 8 minutes, bro. Like, we'll be okay. So him being playable and you hold your breath, that is okay, right? Tari Eason, the man, 11 points, team high +11, 4 of 8 from the field, 1 for 1 from 3, 2 of 2 from the line. He had 8 key rebounds, 2 steals, 1 block, 2 turnovers. I mean, I would be okay with Tari never pushing the ball in transition ever again. Like, I don't know what is with him in transition. I never feel safe with him in the ball, even if he's just open, wide open. Everybody could have stopped running. It's just Tari going down for a dunk by himself. I feel like he'd slip or something like that. But once again, he came in and changed the game. They put him on Triple J to kind of give him a change of look. Started bothering him. I think he's the one that kind of helped turn the tide when he came in. A really, really important player, man. He's really displaying different tools in his bag, and I'd love to see him get a bigger role on the team. He needs to be the guy that's filling in at the 2, 3, and 4, in my opinion. If we can get him up to 30 minutes doing that, then we'd be doing well. That means he's backing up both Jalen or Jalen, he's backing up Dillon, and he's backing up Jabari. And I'd like to see him and Jabari play more and more together. Jeff Green, he's the break in case of emergency player for us right now. He comes in. I think his defense on Triple J is really what spearheaded the return for the Rockets. He was a +8, second highest on the team, 12 points. Just a pro. Uncle Jeff is a pro. I bet there are a lot of contenders who wish they had picked him up, but the Rockets got him. For this game, I really want to give a lot of props to Ime Udoka because I feel like we really do take for granted what we have. Ime Udoka is one of the best coaches in the NBA. The Rockets are one of the best defenses in the NBA. And every game, they actually get better. So we are an elite defense with major holes on the team, with the type of players that wouldn't fit that build of an elite defense, right? We have an undersized backcourt. We have an undersized front court. We have a wing who's our best defender and likes to foul a lot. Our bench is very thin. We have a very young team, and they're inexperienced, coming off the context of being one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA for 3 years in a row. But here we are. And that's a testament to Ime Udoka and his staff, his attention to detail. Is somebody that watches the game, analyzes the game. To look at the contrast for him and Steven Silas, it's like night and day, right? As far as the attention to detail. In a group chat that I'm in, talking to one of my friends, saying that, we were complaining about the first half, and then he was like, I hope Ime Udoka makes these adjustments. And my response was, when has he ever not made the adjustments? When you come out at the half with an Ime Udoka coach team, you already know whatever you saw in that first half, good, bad, or indifferent, they've adjusted to make it better. And going into the game in the past, the Rockets always had a handicap in that position of coaching, right? We're facing Eric Spoelstra against Steven Silas. And I'm just speaking facts. You are going to lose that matchup. And to me, coaching, my philosophy is a good coach is worth an all-NBA player. That's me when it comes to wins. A good coach, an elite coach, is an equivalent to having an all-NBA player on your team, because that's how they impact winning. Because not that they're going to go out there and score buckets for you, but they're going to impact every single player on that roster and make them better. And that aggregate of improvement allows you to win more games and be a better team. And I think for Udoka, he is one of the best coaches in the league. When we go against the Spos, it's not a loss anymore. When we're going against the Buds of the world, the Steve Kerrs of the world, at worst, we're neutral. And on many nights, many nights, we have the better coaching. On many nights, I would say there's probably 3 or 4 coaches in the NBA that you would put over Udoka or even debate it right now. Because I feel like you give him any roster in this league, that roster is likely going to see a conference finals appearance. I don't give a damn who it is. As far as when I'm talking about real rosters, I'm not talking about just like the Blazers or the Spurs. I'm talking about rosters like the Clippers. Give him LeBron, right? Give him the Timberwolves. What would he do with Adam Gobert, right? We see what he did with the Celtics. Give him any real roster that these coaches have. Give him Giannis and Dame. They're seeing the conference finals. Look at what he's doing with the Houston Rockets. That man is doing what he's supposed to do, and he's doing it well. So we just have to give our coaches their flowers. They're doing what they're supposed to do. It is definitely something that I didn't think the Rockets would be this good. In my wildest imaginations, I know we struggle on the road. I know there's a lot of things that the team doesn't do well, but I did not think that we would be defensively this elite, this fast. But yet here we are. Trade deadline approaches. We are in the season where contracts can start being traded. I wonder what Rafael Stone is cooking. I feel like they are about 2 players away from being a serious top 6 contender. I know we're sitting 6 right now, but hey, exciting times for the Houston Rockets. We have 2 games coming up. I think it's Milwaukee and then Cleveland. So those are going to be a back-to-backs on Sunday and Monday. I think we split that, right? I think we beat one of those teams and lose to one since they're both road games. But, man, y'all let me know, what was your favorite part of the Memphis Grizzlies win? And what did you think about Dillon Brooks' performance? Let me know in the comments and in the chat. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button to keep getting great premium hoops content. If you like this video, hit the like button, right? Hit the like button so people can see that this is something they should be watching to get their basketball knowledge on, because that's what we try to provide here at the Chop Shop. Keep rocking with us, and we're going to keep dropping that fire.